like to give a formal welcome to Dr. Larry Freeney. He is the proud father of a new baby boy and 3 beautiful girls. His PhD is in counselor education and supervision, and he's the director of education and assessments for both Rejoice Counseling Apostolate and the Laetare Group. He also serves on the advisory board for the John Paul II Foundation and is the host of Fully Alive on Radio Maria. In his free time, he recently completed one of the most grueling races out there. It's called the Spartan Winter Death Race. And he's here to share his experience with us. So we welcome you, Dr. Larry.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you. And the death race in and of itself is a race that's not a traditional race. And so many people on here may be wondering, what does this have to do with mental health? What does it have to do with the mindset? And all this, it comes together. But the death race is not a traditional race. And we just talk about the death race in general. So there's a winter death race and a summer death race. So it's a race that is non-traditional in the fact that it doesn't have a set start time or a set completion. So there's a sense of uncertainty throughout the entire race. You don't know if it's going to last it can last up to 72 hours. I've heard some, they've gone longer than 72 hours. And you don't know what's next. So it's kind of...
How is it that there's no start time?
Oh, yeah. So, you would think you get there at a certain time. You're doing things, but technically the race hasn't started yet. The race doesn't start until you get what's called your bib. And your bib number, when you go through check-in in the morning, they ask you, of course, all of the health questions, any heart problems, any diabetes, possible seizures, anything like that. Then they give you a bib number. Of course, they don't give you a bib. They just give you a number, and you have to remember this number. Later on, sometime at some designated time and spot, you will go through the process of getting your bib, which is never, let's just say it's a lot more complicated than you would think.
It's not easy. It's not just they hand you a bib.
It's not. So this is the thing about the death race is there are people that I know that I talked to before I went into this, and it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I want to talk about kind of how I got into this. So I did my first Spartan race in 2021. So I've done martial arts a lot of my life. I started at Shotokan when I was 3. At 7, I went on to Ishinryu. I did American Taekwondo, and I finally finished up my martial arts career so far in what's called Sangam Taekwondo. I enjoyed the aspect of it that how well I did in tournaments depended 100% on me, how well I prepared my forms, and of course, sparring. But after a while, I got kind of bored, and I wanted to know what was next for me in the physical realm. I've always been a physical person. And so I heard about Spartan races. They've always been on my radar. And a Spartan race is just an obstacle course race. There are different distances and obstacles. So there's the sprint, which is a 5K with 20 obstacles. Then there's a super, which is a 10K with 25 obstacles. Then you get on to the beast, which is a half marathon with 30 obstacles. And then, if you're crazy enough, there's an ultra, which is 30 miles and 60 obstacles. So in 2021, my best friend and I, we did our first Spartan race outside of Austin. And I was reading a book at the time called The Miracle Equation by Hal Elrod. And in there, he talks about this idea of the future self. He says, you want to set goals so that I don't know, he said, the how, who could X, Y, and Z, but I want to meet him and I want to become him. And so I had my first Spartan race on the calendar, and I said, you know what? I don't know the Larry who could run a Spartan death race, but I want to meet him and I want to become him. And sure enough, 4 short years later, I was actually out there running in this death race.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people who I reached out to beforehand. I was like, well, how do you prepare for this? And they're like, that's the key. You don't, because there's certain things that you do, but that's part of a psychological kind of testing here. You can't fully prepare for a death race. Like a marathon, you know how far it's going to be. You know it's going to be 26.2 miles. You know that. A Spartan Ultra, you know it's roughly going to be 30 miles and 60 obstacles. But the death race, you don't know. It could be 5 obstacles. It could be 100. You could go up in a mountain. You don't know. And the uncertainty is what gets you.
Yeah, sounds like it. Wow. So have you done all of those different types of death races?
So I've done the basic races. I've done the sprint. On my the week before my 30th birthday, I did what's called the Death of My Youth race. So my best friend and I went to Seattle, Washington to do a Spartan Super. I did actually, I skipped the beast the first time. And I went for, in 2023, without any training, I decided I signed up for the Ultra. So I've never run 30 miles in my life. The most I'd ever run at one time was a half marathon, and that was without
Okay.
training as well. So I was like, I signed up for it. I showed up. It took me 11 hours and 46 minutes. I started at 6:30 in the morning and I finished at 6:14, right? My body was completely destroyed, but my
Yeah.
mind, I understood that I'm capable of so much more than I'd set myself up for.
Mhm.
When I went for the Ultra, I didn't know if I would complete it or not. The goal just became to be pushed further than I thought I could. But then as I started to put one foot in front of the other, of course, my IT band exploded. Like it was just,
Mm.
my body was shutting down. My brain was looking for ways out. It's the first sign of discomfort, my brain was looking for ways out. But as I endured, my brain started to then, my mind started to then be on my side. I was like, all right, it seems like you're going to do this, right? You have that come to Jesus moment. It seems like you're
Mhm.
going to do this. All right, let me help you. And then my brain started to work with me and I was able to complete this race. And that was the issue. I completed it without training. And so my mind then went to, hey, what else is possible? What else can I do? Other areas of my life have I been selling myself short?
Wow, that is really an amazing perspective, Larry. Because I think most of us spend our life thinking, how do I rest more?
Well,
And this is
yeah.
completely the opposite. It's like, how do I transform my mind so it doesn't desire that rest almost? I don't know.
Yeah, it's our mind is trained, and the society we live in. I'm not saying it's terrible, but our society is based on comfort. It's based on accessibility. It's based on napping on Sundays, and it's, being in shade. And when we're hungry, we can just open up an app and order food. And when we do that, I think we lose a bit of the human spark. The human spark
Mhm.
kind of comes out of necessity, it comes out of hardship. And so I've always wanted to see what my limit was, but also who's that Larry on the other side of this discomfort. And that's kind of what led me to the death race. And signing up for the death race was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I kind of left it up to God, and this is what I did. I got an email it was like that said that the winter death race was open. I didn't even think about the summer death race. The winter death race was open, and I was at mass. Right, I had just gotten to mass. I had my 3 kids there. This is before my son was born, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply for it. See, the other races you can sign up for, and so there's 2 different arms of Spartan. There's the regular races, and then there's the
Mhm.
extreme endurance races. So you have the
Mhm.
sprint, the super, the beast, the ultra beast, and on the other side you have the hurricane heats 4 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, 24 hour. And then you have the Agoji, you have the winter death race, the summer death race. So those are lots. It's a different breed. And so knowing me, of course, I could have started at a hurricane heat, but there's a rule that I have. If I think I can accomplish something, then I don't set it as a goal. I go that next step. So if I think I can run a half marathon, I don't do it. I go for the marathon. If I think I can run a marathon, I go for an ultra. Because if I think I can do something, it doesn't become a goal, it's a task. If I don't think I can do it, then it becomes about the transformation that happens, who I become when I set myself up in situations that push me well beyond my perceived limits. So I said, all right, God,
Mhm.
if you want me to do the winter death race, right? I'll sign up for it. So I applied, I did this. And right after mass ended, I got an email. You're accepted. I said, what? Okay.
Oh.
Um, yeah. And so then at that moment, I signed up, paid my dues. And here's the thing 50% of people who sign up for a death race don't even show up.
Hmm.
People sign up, they apply, they pay their money, non refundable, they pay it, and they don't show up.
They chicken out.
They do. I think the voice of reason, the closer you get, because my brain was like, what are you doing? As we got closer and closer. But yeah, so there are over 10 million people have done a Spartan race across the world. 10 million. For
Mhm.
the 2025 winter death race, only 19 people signed up. As they say, only 19 of us were crazy enough to go for the winter death race. Now, the summer death race, sometimes they have up to 100 people. You see in the 80s and the 90s. But in the winter death race, because it's not even a possibility, it's almost a guarantee. You're going to get hypothermia, you're going to get frostbite. It's guaranteed. You're going to be cold, you're going to be wet, you're going to be hungry. And this happened to also be the second coldest winter death race I've ever had. And it was the first black class, meaning nobody finished. After all that work, after all that sacrifice, after your food freezing, the frostbite, the hypothermia, no one finished. And this was at the design of the race directors. Because there's a question. What happens when you make a race so difficult that people can't complete it?
Hmm. Wow. I think we're going to get to the answer to that question, but first, I think people need to see some photos,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
to get a better idea of what we're really talking about here.
All right, all right. So there's me. I'm a little bit lighter than I am now, which is whenever you run any endurance race, the more weight is going to be kind of bad. So I think I'm about 175 pounds here. My typical go-to weight's about 185, which is what I'm at today. And this is one of the challenges we had to do. So every month we had a challenge we had to do. We had to film it, we had to send it in. And one of them was to get a piece of paper, write "I may die" on there and hold it up. So that we could then, let's see, have it, look, here's all of us. These are my 19 brothers and sisters who went to war with me. And here's a question that people always ask. All right, you're doing the death race. What do you get when you win? What do you get when you complete? That's a fair question. But the fact that people ask that question means they're missing the point. You see this plastic skull right here? This plastic skull is what you get. This is what you get for completing the death race. Is it made out of gold? It is not. It is a dollar store plastic skull that you can buy on Amazon if you really want. Those who are seeking the death race aren't seeking external validation. You're not seeking external rewards. You're seeking that transformation. Michael Beckwith talks about there's two ways that people grow, two ways we transform. One is by Kinsho moments, which he calls growth by pain. So this is losing a job, this is getting a breakup in a relationship, this is having to move away, this is anything that causes that pain in our life. And the second is by insight. So this is going to be that moment where you've just been staring at this problem all day and suddenly the light bulb goes off, there's a click. Now, there's this concept I created called an FTE, which is a forced transformation event. And this is what the death race represents. It is a unique event that you can engineer to experience both Kinsho moments, pain, and Satori moments, insight. So as you see here, we're not chasing this external skull. We're chasing the version of ourself that is on the other side of extreme discomfort and where we go beyond our perceived limits of self. So everybody in this picture has a story. In fact, number 8 did not start because number 8 was messing with her saw before we started and wound up cutting their hand, had to get emergency stitches, and did not show up. So, but here are my 19 brothers and sisters who went to war with me. Here we are in line. As you can see, there I am. I'm from Houston, Texas. We don't have cold like this. This cold, I said this was the second coldest winter death race. The low was -2, and you got to add on wind chill, and the high was 18. So I wasn't used to this cold. Give me heat, give me the devil's armpit heat. I know how to deal with that. But this cold was on a whole different level. So this was us waiting in line for us to go and to get checked out by med. And there's a bunch of veterans here who've done it before. There's some individuals, this is their first time. That's what it looks like. Here I am, I still have spirits here. I still have feeling in my toes and my fingers. I haven't experienced what's on the other side of that mountain yet, but yeah, here I am. So see these individuals in the bright neon green yellow? These are the meds. This is medic. Anytime you saw medic, you know it was going to be a terrible time. You knew you were getting in the water. And remember, I told you, how cold is it? It's -2, the high is 18. When you saw the medic, when they were waiting for a medic to come to you, you knew it was going to be a terrible time because you were getting in the water. And it was, if you've ever been cold before, I promise you, this is a cold that you have never experienced. Because even if you're in -2-degree weather, you're not out there for hours and hours. Right? You eventually come inside, you get warm, you get comfortable. Here, no, you're cold and you're wet and you stay cold and you stay wet. Here I am. I still have spirits. One of the first things we had to do, we had to go find in the wooded area a stick about 6 feet or more high, about this width, and we had to cut it because this is where we actually talked about the death race does not begin till when? Till you get your bib. And you notice we've been here for a few hours. We still don't have our bibs yet. There's me. One of the things we did, we got to do some snow burpees. So if you love burpees, that's one of the best parts about the death race is there's no time. It's basically at the race director's whim. So you can be doing burpees for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, whatever, in the snow. And eventually, no matter how cold it is, you start sweating, you start getting hot. So you start taking layers off. Right? So it's a beautiful moment. You see some bibs here. This happens a little bit later. All right, so this is this is where we get our bibs. You see these holes here in the lake? So this lake is frozen. Our bibs are in these holes. So how do we get our bibs? If you notice, we have axes. So we have to start on this shoreline, and we have to cut our way all the way in the water. We get in the water, we have to cut our way all the way through to the middle where the bibs are. Like I said, this water is cold. Here's your boy right here. This water is cold. It is colder than I've ever been in my life. And see all this? Look at all this work we did. We cut through here. Now, most people don't do this. Most people are not going to get in this frozen lake and cut our way through the middle. While I was doing this, many of you were at home. You were enjoying time with your family and friends. My brain was like, what are you doing? Remember at this point. It's like, what are you doing? Like, none of your friends are doing this right now. They're all enjoying the warmth. And here I am. So this was after that moment. We have our bibs. We had to start a fire. So my hands were frozen. I was in the water for about 25 to 30 minutes. So there was some hypothermia there. You didn't see them, but the medics were there. They were checking our feet and our hands for frostbite. I learned there are 3 stages of frostbite. We'll get to that a little bit later. And yeah, so they made me get out of the water for a little bit and to warm up. Yeah, that was actually the thing. Hey, go warm up. And anyway, got here, got my bib. My bib is frozen solid. My hands aren't working, and we have to start a fire. So it's a beautiful moment here of bonding.
Oh, so to warm up, they said go start your own fire so you can warm up?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Now you don't see this here, but after the first event, because many of the veterans thought we weren't going to be getting in the water because I told you, the low was -2, the high was 18. As soon as they made us get in this water and start doing, a lot of people were like, no. So we had people drop at the first. Remember, the death race doesn't start until what? You get your bib. So I forget, someone's bibs was probably still in the lake right now. It's at the very bottom. So after we have, warmed up, and then I changed my shoes because they got wet. Then there's a guy there. I won't say his real name, but we call him Santa because he gives gifts. And Santa's gifts are not the gifts that you're used to. You see this giant rope right here? This was Santa's gift for us. So Santa broke us up to by our bib numbers, so evens and odds. Right? It's a sick, twisted game that we've all signed up for. So it really shows what something going on here psychologically. But we were here, and I thought, we would play tug of war over here. All this is ice, by the way. Walking on this, people slipped. I slipped. Right. So this is.
So you're on a river. That
yes,
looks like it's.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a river bank, or is it on the river?
It's the river bank.
Okay.
So I thought, this is what we're doing. No, Liz, we're actually in the river.
Okay. So
here I am.
You should have kept your other boots on.
Liz, like I said, you don't know what you don't know.
Oh, the uncertainty is like the killer.
Yes, and this was the downfall. This is one of the reasons that I only lasted as long as I did, because I have big feet, Liz. I have a size 14 men's, and this was the downfall, right? Because once your feet get cold, and your core temperature is just going to start dropping, right? And there's no warmth anywhere. So the first part here, yeah, my team won, right? I thought we're the Snow Dogs. Yeah, Snow Dogs, we won. They're like, yeah, good job, Snow Dogs. Let's do 2 out of 3. Now, Liz, I just won tug of war. My glycogen stores are gone. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm cold. I'm wet. I don't want to do 2 out of 3. We just won 1 out of 1. Who wants to do 2 out of 3? So, of course, we do 2 out of 3, and we lose the second one. And we're going to the 3rd round. And, of course, the race directors state, you don't want to lose this. Like, what do you mean? It's like, you really do not want to lose this. So you better make sure you win. Liz, when I tell you that I mustered all the energy in my being in this 3rd round for us to win. I tell you, I fell in the water. Many of us fell in the water. So you know what happens when we lost? Well, we didn't lose. When the losing team lost,
Uh-huh.
this lake right here, you had to strip down, jump into this lake, and do 3 bobs under the water.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, we did not lose. Now, so
Oh,
there's a lot of other shenanigans that happen. I just want to
yeah.
go through the pictures and we can go through some more of the story. But if you notice, I have big feet. This foot right here is about 5 sizes too big. It's swollen. Right? This is
Mm.
after getting out of the death race, and this is me showing that there is life on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, you look a little rough, Larry. You
Oh,
look a little rough.
this is after some moments. But here's my exclusive death to race swag. We got the hoodie, we got the beanie. There's a shirt that goes on. I think I wore this like every day for the next 2 weeks after I got back. Just
Absolutely. Your
yeah,
consolation.
and, yeah. So those are the pictures. Those are the pictures.
So what was the hardest part, Larry? Physiologically, like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally?
The hardest part is definitely dealing with the physicality of just being so cold. Because once you're cold, your body's job is to warm up your core, keep your core body temperature up. And once
Mm,
it starts dropping, your mind starts to unravel. It just
mm.
does. Uh, so my feet, I think my feet were frozen for about 12 hours. I couldn't feel them. And every time we would go and do med check, so we had med check every so often. And at night, it would be even more um, higher frequency. So it would be every 1.5 hours, 2 hours. And I know,
Wait, so this lasted more than a day?
yes, this lasted 56 hours straight. But I will let you know that I was not one of the ones who lasted the 56 hours. So here's the thing about the winter death race. Snow gear, winter gear is expensive,
Mm,
very expensive. Like some of the individuals out there were wearing like $2,000 outfits. Now I don't know about you, but I wasn't sponsored yet, so I don't have like $2,000. So this was budget death race. This was what is the minimum I can get so that I don't die, but also not break the bank. So it was a nice little balance here. So in my mind, going into this, I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not think I was gonna finish. That was like a thing. It wasn't like
mm,
some, oh, you didn't have hope, you didn't believe. Like, no, I did not think because I didn't have the gear for it. And I knew that if I was to finish based on what I had, I would have to sacrifice a lot more than I wanted to.
mm. In what sense? Sacrifice what?
Like physically, my health. I probably would have lost a few toes due to frostbite.
Okay. Mm,
And that's just something I didn't want to do, which was great. I didn't have to go there. I didn't have to get to that experience. But definitely the physical aspect. I enjoyed being there, the monotony of it all. Like we chopped wood for like 3, 4, 5 hours. I don't know. You lose track of time. It was daytime when we started. It was pitch black when we stopped. So, but my moment, the best moment for me was climbing the mountain. So we had this mountain that we had to climb. And of course,
mhm.
everything is a mind game. So they're like, the minimum you have to carry is your backpack, hydration, and food. Now, mind you, our food had frozen, but that's besides the point. Um, but there's a thing, they have a list called the mandatory gear, and you have to keep your mandatory gear on you at all time. That's like everything. It's an axe, it's shoe, it's all the whole 9 yards. And they're like, so maybe you need it, maybe you don't. I don't know. Up to you. So of course everybody's bringing everything, and it's the worst because it's literally this almost 90-degree vertical straight up. It's not. It's about 60 degrees, but still over a mile and a half of 60 degrees just up, carrying all of your gear, and it's snow.
Mm,
So my quads were on fire, my back was on fire. I'm like, this is rough. This is wild. I was there because we were kind of alone. There was 10 of us left at this time. It was wild. So we started off
mhm.
with like 19 because one person got injured. At this point, there's only 10 of us left. And we were told, don't be the last one up. Right? So climbing, I'm from flat Houston. So climbing is not in my specialty, but I just kept going. I was like one step, one step. I kept using my axe as a, like I said, I didn't have the right gear. I got my backpack. I saw everyone else's backpack. I was like, oh no, this is right. So it was not for packing all the stuff. So I was at such a disadvantage, and it was cool because that's how I learned. That's how I experienced. So I got to the top, and I think I did 1,000 jumping jacks. We did 330 something burpees. and we did 100 and something squats. We're on top of this mountain, beautiful. Like there's no light pollution. You get to see the stars, and it was just awesome. My headlamp broke, so that's gonna be a problem with me going down because it's pitch black and it's the slope. And I just remember being up there, doing my stuff, and on the way down, somebody got a concussion. They didn't tell anybody. They're like, "Oh yeah," because they went to go throw up, and they were like, "Oh yeah, probably the concussion when they hit their head on the ice." Shenanigans. But yeah, it was realized that people always said that I was crazy, and I realized that there's like a spectrum of crazy. I'm not over here. I'm like here. Like there's still like a lot of room to go before I get here. There's just so many people who wanted it more than I did. Well, on the way down, so after all this, on the way down, I had this moment. I had this experience with God. I'm on the way down. I see the stars. It's beautiful. When you can transcend the kind of the current pain that you're experiencing and all this, and really take in the view, like it's beautiful. And what a blessing it is to be out here. To this is of my own volition. Remember, to challenge myself, to push myself. The race director said before we started, she said that I hope you fail. I hope each and every one of you fail out there because you get too comfortable in success. You don't learn anything from success. Success doesn't really teach you anything. She's like, I learned from my biggest failures. That's when I learned the most. And she's run countless death races before, so she's gone through the process. She knows what it is. Mm-hmm. And so out there, she's like, I hope you fail. And she's like, you know what? I don't hope you fail. I hope you die. She's like, not physically, but I hope a part of you dies. I hope you leave something, part of yourself on that mountain, and I hope you find something else. And so on this mountain coming down, I had this moment, and it was just in my mind. After this death race, I had plans to do so many other things, like to go do, the Hurt 100, the Badwater 135, just go do the more extreme stuff. And I heard this voice that says, "You're good." And all of a sudden, all that desire just poof, dissipated. I realized there's this realization of how blessed I am, how, with my daughter, my wife, my family, my career, my son that was coming, who's now here, all this, I'm blessed. I got so much going on. It's like, you don't have to do this. I was like, cool. So in that moment, there's a sense of like, all right, I'm good. I got what I needed on this mountain. I came, I did this. And then I had this realization that even if I pushed through somehow and completed the entire race, and I was the only finisher, that I wouldn't have gained any more than I had in that moment. Like I had that transformation that I was looking for. I was like, this is awesome. There are some people who've done this race like 5-6 times. They're still looking for something. And I just felt like, oh, got it. I'm good. And it wasn't like sadness. It wasn't like resignation. It was just, I was content. I was like, awesome. I had my moment. I'm good to go. I found what I needed to find. Let's go. So I remember falling down the mountain a few times because my headlamp broke. It's shenanigans, trying to carry everything. We also had balloons that we had to carry and keep them alive too, but in negative weather, that didn't go too well. But I get down to base. I get there. My sock is frozen to my foot, which is frozen into my shoe. So we can't do a med check until it falls out a little bit. And that's how real it was. So then that moment, Santa comes on. It's like, all right, you're ready to go back out there? I think we're getting the water again. It's like, no, I'm good. He's like, what? I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, are you going to hand me your bib? And that was always the thing. Hey, you want a fire? Hand me your bib, right? Give me this. I was like, here you go. And he was like, are you serious? It's like, Santa, I have experienced what I needed to. I had this transformation that I was looking for. I'm good. Remember at that moment, other people who had quit beforehand, I was talking to one of them, and like I said, it's great that I quit because I had stage 1 frostbite. I was getting over in stage 2 on my foot. The toe, apparently I had broken the toenail. Didn't feel it because my foot was frozen. And over the time, it became black, the tip of it. It was fine. It was just the skin that died. But I was also experiencing hypothermia. I hadn't realized it yet, but I don't really shiver. So I was talking to somebody, and I was just like, so how's it going? I was like, oh no, right? And, he was experiencing hypothermia as well, and he couldn't get his body temperature up. So there's this hot room that we were sitting in, kind of raise our temperature. Mm-hmm. And so he was all like, yeah. So I think in that moment, I was number 8 left. I was 9 to 8. So it was 8 people after me. That night, 2 more people dropped. So in the morning, in 24 hours, there was only 6 people left. 2 people dropped after that. And at the end, by hour 56, there were 4 people left, but they failed the last challenge at that time. They had like a 6-hour scavenger hunt. And one person was so close. She had everything she needed except for one thing, and they disqualified her and everyone else.
Whoa.
And it was really like, and she was just talking about how she wanted this more than anything. Like this was such powerful to her, um, and it's just heartbreaking to see that. But for me, this was after I had a nerve pain, so I had to go to urgent care to make sure I didn't break anything. Turns out I just had a frostbite nerve pain. But because that night, that was the craziest pain I've ever felt because um, it didn't subside. It was just constant pain the entire night. But
Mhm.
my one of my best friends, Javier, he went with me. And he was my crew. And without him, I probably would have died. But as soon as I got back to the base, to our hotel, he drew a hot shower. He warmed up food for me. He got me some hot tea. He did all these things, man. He kept me alive. It was a real one. But the whole aspect of it, like I wouldn't have changed anything about the experience. The fact that I didn't have the right gear, the fact that I didn't know it was awesome because it wasn't manufactured. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and that was a beautiful part of it. I wasn't prepared for this, and I had to navigate this, and just I think that is what forced that transformation. Right? If everything went so smoothly, if I was comfortable, there wouldn't have been that transformation. So I had to push myself. One of the things they had to do, like after I had gone, they had a 500-pound truck tire in the bottom of the lake, and they had to pick it up, get it out of the lake through this hole, and roll it up the mountain.
Wow. Larry, it sounds like you really found what you were looking for. That sense of I am enough. I no longer need to prove anything. I have what I need, right? That is just an amazing experience. Not
That's
only
something
how
I
far
had.
you pushed yourself, but the gift that God gave you.
That's something I had to deal with my entire life. So, family of origins or interesting places, and so that's
Yeah.
something. Just because my family dynamics always felt that always did more than my brothers and sisters. Always had to prove my place. At that moment, like that whole thing went away. You don't have to prove anything. Like you got it. And so I think it was something that was like an undercurrent of all the things I've done in my life.
Mhm.
Getting my master's, getting my PhD, doing all the things. I think it was not the main motivation, but it was definitely a contributing factor. So the sense, and there's a big race that's coming up. It's a once in a lifetime deal, basically. So it's another Spartan race. It's the Agoge. Now the Agoge is different than a death race. It happens in a different country, and this one was going to happen in Sparta, Greece. And so what they're going to do, they're going to take 300 of us, and they're going to start at the tomb of Leonidas and do a 70-plus mile ruck throughout Greece, and that was gonna be awesome. And it's funny because after this moment, I was like, I'm enough. I don't have to do anything like that anymore. So now my focuses and endeavors are in different areas. So then I get back here, I'm working through all this, and I get the email, you're accepted. Right? So I was wondering if this was God testing me. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to do that. That'd be great. It'd be a once in a lifetime opportunity, but my son was going to be born, and that would have been his first All Saints Day, All Hallows Eve, and it was my daughter's the anniversary of her baptism. So I was like, you know what? And this time I got to choose the family over the school thing. I went out. I had my adventure, my awesome adventure that like I said, 10 million people have done a Spartan race, but only 19 signed up for this winter death race. So for me, that was my adventure. As I said earlier, I'm good.
That's amazing. Well, I'm mindful of the time. Typically, we start Q&A now, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything else you wanted to share with us before we open it up for questions?
I definitely do. So for everybody here and everybody watching this after the fact, you don't have to go run a death race, but don't live a life that is comfortable. And that's kind of one of the things I call it kind of death by stagnation, or death by comfort. Because if you're comfortable, you're not growing. And so many of us have so much talent and skill, and we each have a mission that only we can do in this life, right? God has given us each a unique mission. And Liz, you can do something that I can't do, and I can do something that you can't do. And the more we push ourselves, the more we can see how far outside of our comfort zone we can get when we expand it, then our capabilities, our reach of our mission becomes that much greater. So you don't have to go run a death race, but go find something that challenges you, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Go out there and push yourself, not to necessarily climb a mountain, but maybe it's to write that book that has been placed on your heart. Or maybe it's to write that song or to direct that movie or whatever it is. get outside that comfort zone and to chase that, which is going to help you become a better version of yourself.
I love that message, Larry. Thanks for pushing us all.